Hello, Manus MacLean here with BrainDrain Newsroom. Today is Saturday, September 20th, 2025, and the news cycle is moving fast, but the stories share one theme: expansion, escalation, and resistance. Here's what we'll cover over the next half hour. ICE is expanding at a scale not seen in decades. New offices, new hires, and new powers. Communities from Chicago to San Francisco are resisting, sometimes with lawsuits, sometimes with protest. Detention conditions remain shocking, sparking legal injunctions. State and local governments are caught in the crossfire, and internationally, the U.S. reputation is shifting as these policies ripple outward. Let's dive in. The Washington Post reports ICE is seeking nearly 300 new office spaces nationwide. That means more enforcement, legal, and administrative personnel scattered across states that now had little visible ICE presence. ICE itself boasted that it received 150,000 applications for jobs, with 18,000 tentative offers extended. The message? There is no shortage of people willing to enforce, and in some cases, communities eager to welcome the economic footprint of federal facilities. Officers are being sought not just in big metro hubs, but also in places like Alabama, Idaho, and Wisconsin. Why does this matter? Because it reshapes immigration enforcement from being a border problem into being a neighborhood reality. With offices in small towns, ICE shifts from an agency at the periphery to one embedded everywhere. Expansion isn't just about real estate, it's about visibility, pressure, and presence. The wrong picture there earlier, and I apologize. In Broadview, Illinois, protesters staged a blockade at an ICE facility. The standoff escalated when the officers deployed chemical agents. Videos circulated online showed tear gas drifting across suburban streets. Meanwhile, Chicago is under Operation Midway Blitz, an intensified enforcement campaign. Arrests are happening at traffic stops, in workplaces, and sometimes without clear identification of officers. Local leaders, including Governor J.B. Pritzker, criticized the operation, saying the state had no prior notice. This lack of coordination feeds mistrust, especially as ICE agents wear masks and use unmarked vehicles. As one Chicago alderman said, when people don't know if it's ICE or local police, fear and confusion take over. These raids target Latino neighborhoods most heavily, reinforcing the sense of selective enforcement. Where communities resist, courts sometimes intervene. Look at what's happening in detention centers and federal facilities. In New York, a federal court issued an injunction against ICE at 26 Federal Plaza, calling out abusive conditions. Detainees were crammed into tiny spaces, denied access to phones, and unable to contact lawyers within the first 24 hours. The ruling forces ICE to implement minimum space, hygiene, and communication standards. In San Francisco, lawsuits allege ICE is targeting immigrants at courthouses, arresting people who appear for unrelated hearings and then hiding them in freezing, overcrowded cells. One detainee described it as the icebox. No bed, no medicine, no sunlight. These conditions aren't new, but litigation is giving them visibility. What makes today different is the stacking of cases nationwide from New York to California, building pressure on ICE to defend its operations in courtrooms, not just in press releases. So while lawyers challenge ICE in the courts, agents are pressing forward in the streets and the workplace. In Chicago, part of Operation Midway Blitz focused on known gang members. ICE announced the arrest of several people with violent records. But critics warn this is selective framing. While gang arrests make headlines, many others are swept up in the same raids had no criminal history. In Georgia, ICE staged a massive Worksite raid. I think we reported on that, where over 300 and some odd people were arrested at a Hyundai battery plant, detaining hundreds of workers. Employers across industries are now scrambling, warned by trade groups like SHRM, which is a Society for Human Resource Management, to prepare workforce enforcement like never before. Yes, we've all dealt with human relations people. Usually, something about your benefits. Now they're warning you and they're trying to prepare you for a raid. Lovely times. In Texas, state troopers under Operation Lone Star 2.0 are making immigration arrests in coordination with ICE, blurring state and federal roles. Each of these operations reflects a broader trend: enforcement moving from the border into the daily life of American communities, highways, factories, and courthouses. But not all power lies with ICE. Politics at state and federal levels are shaping the playing field. Political and legal pushback. In Washington, Democrats in Congress are drafting legislation to restrict ICE arrest at courthouse and require federal notification to states before major raids. Republicans counter that any such measure ties ICE's hands. In Illinois, the governor's office is considering legal avenues to limit cooperation with federal agents after the Midway Blitz backlash. Courts, state houses, and even city councils are becoming battlefields. The fight over ICE isn't just federal versus immigrant communities. It's federal versus states, cities, and their elected leaders. And beyond American borders, these policies are echoing too. Human rights groups abroad are amplifying U.S. immigration enforcement stories. In Mexico, news outlets highlighted raids in Chicago, warning citizens that the U.S. safety is not guaranteed, and even for those with legal proceedings pending. European allies, particularly Germany and France, are questioning whether U.S. practices are consistent with international human rights standards. For immigrants fleeing war or persecution, the U.S. is signaling mixed messages: opportunity on paper, but risk of arrest and abuse in practice. What it means: ICE's expansion is unprecedented. With offices in small towns and worksite raids in global corporation, immigration enforcement is now part of America's landscape. Legal pushback is growing, but litigation takes years. In the meantime, thousands are detained or deported. Communities are adapting: protests, rights, education, lawsuits. The U.S. risks losing moral authority internationally while sowing division at home. How you can help: donate. Support independent coverage at braindrain.org/donate. Volunteer. Join immigrant aid groups. They need translators, drivers, mentors. Know your rights. Share resources, hand out cards, organize workshops. Document safely. Record ICE actions. Documentation changes narratives. I'm Manus, MacLean, and this has been BrainDrain Newsroom. Expansion meets resistance. The question is, which will grow faster? Stay informed. stay engaged, and stay with us. Goodbye for now.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this and maybe even learned something new. If you did, don't just vanish into the algorithm. Hit like, subscribe, and follow us on social. It's the easiest way to support our work and make sure you never miss what's next. Want to stay in the loop without relying on big tech's mood swings? Sign up for our monthly newsletter. And if you've got the means, donations of any size keep our programs running strong. As a 501c3, your gift is tax deductible where the law allows. Together, we can turn brain drain into America's next big breakthrough.